Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Borderlands. It's a movie starring Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, and the voice of Jack Black as Claptrap, as well as the chick from 65. So, this is a movie that I believe is based on a video game. I only play like maybe an hour of the video game, I think, but that's it. So, I also didn't see any previews for this movie, but I did see a couple of like headlines and review-ish type things that were basically like, hey, this movie's not great and it's not making a lot of money. So that's what I went into the movie with. And what I can say is that this movie feels like maybe it was supposed to be 3 hours long and they just had to cut it down for time. And so they cut out a bunch of things that would have made things actually make sense. Or they had a movie that was definitely funny throughout, or, and I think more likely, a movie that was more serious throughout, and they were like, wait a second, we have Kevin Hart, let's insert some funny things, and we got to make this more of a funny movie because we also have Jack Black. I don't know what happened, but it really seemed like there was not the same movie going on. Like, imagine if you were trying to make Guardians of the Galaxy and the City of a Thousand Planets movie, you know? If you tried to mash those two together, but you have better chemistry than those two that were on screen in the City of a Thousand Planets, but the technology mashing just didn't work in this. So I'm going to kind of go over some things that I thought didn't make sense. So to start off with, there's no logic for the amount of destruction that the girl was doing with the whatever they're called, the bunnies and whatnot. Like, when she first meets them, that level of destruction for just meeting anybody, that doesn't make any sense to me. And we established earlier on that Cate Blanchett's character has this, like, automatic gun that just shoots super duper duper fast, and that she's really, really awesome with it, because she, like, nails a bunch of dudes that, yeah, they were close to her, but she nails all of them and, like, you know, and they're all dead, exactly on target. And then somebody else, when she's trying to steal their stuff before she gets to the bunny girl, and she, you know, fires off her automatic weapon to take them out from very far away. But then, when she's trying to get the bunny girl, suddenly she's not able to headshot this ski mask guy, and he's able to somehow deflect it with this, like, relatively thin metal-ish thing that he has in his hand. Like, I just don't believe it. And then, when the, like, guys that are also on the same team as Cate Blanchett's character roll up, they're like, haha! And she's like, what are you? Like, you and what army is going to do this? And then the army comes and they appear. They're on the top of a cliff above them with mostly wheeled vehicles. But then when the chase starts, like immediately after, they're somehow down there. I don't know if they just wanted to add that in or if they had like an air fight initially or an air tracking of them initially. And then they were like, no, it makes more sense to have vehicles. But those vehicles, that continuity doesn't make sense. And the vehicle chase was pretty bad CGI. And speaking of things that don't make sense, there's a whole lot. Cate Blanchett's hair is always like whoosh to the side, like it's this bright red, unnatural red color that's always exactly coiffed to the side precisely. Even when they make multiple like funny things about how messy and dirty and everything else everybody gets, but her hair is still always perfect. And that doesn't make any sense to me, and they never explain it. In the movie Ultraviolet, they have like a couple scenes showing Ultraviolet's hair changing colors based on, you know, whether she wants to disguise herself or blend in or whatever else. But they have like a one-sentence thing that explains that too, but it's also quite obvious. With this, there is no reason why just her hair is never messed up. There's no logic to that. There's also no logic to them letting Cate Blanchett's character in the car, or her wanting to get in the car, because she is working for the same people that the bad guys chasing them are working for. Also, at no point was there any head nod or like verbalization or in any way indication that Claptrap running or wheeling after the car saying, hey, you forgot me, let me in. There was nothing from anybody in the car to indicate that he was not lying and why they should open up this armored door in the middle of a gunfight shooting after them to let in this robot. Nobody ever says anything. They just, ski mask guy just assumes and opens it, which doesn't make any sense. Also, Claptrap has another thing where they establish that he can get shot and he's fine, but then they later on use him as a bullet sponge to like distract the enemy, so he's getting shot a whole bunch and like sure he was surviving, but like that many impacts with that many guns are just like putting a whole bunch of like, you know, divots into him, and then he sort of dies, like he like keels over and the guys go away, and then he like hiccups and that layer of armor just falls off, but he doesn't get any smaller. So it's like he hiccups off the armor and bulges out to the same size that he was. And there's no explanation for why that metal guy, a robot, somehow is able to increase his size and armor, and why he had that whole extra layer of armor underneath exactly precisely. None of that was explained. There's also a scene where Cate Blanchett's character gets, like, is holding a grenade, and then she, like, drops it, and then it explodes. Like, that's not how grenades work. You don't just survive that and be like, oh, man, that was rough. That's just not how it works. Also, speaking of, like, her gun, so they established that it's this super awesome automatic gun. At no point did I see them, like, establish that it was shot away, that the gun was damaged, that she ran out of or low on bullets, or that it was a different gun. But somehow later on when they're fighting the ski mask guys, it's a single shotter, like boom, 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 like it's not the super automatic that we had seen for most of the rest of the movie. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it's just there's so many things that just don't understand, and that just don't make any sense, that I don't understand. Like, there was a bunch of lines that I have to assume were just video game references. That's the only way that those clunky lines being weirdly inserted would make any sense, is if they were like, hey, remember that from the video game? Because it doesn't work with this dialogue. It also doesn't make any sense for the captain person that was, spoiler alert, Kevin Hart's best friend type of person to change sides at the end and then immediately get blown away. I think it was supposed to be for comedic effect. It was not funny, and it was sad because that's like Kevin Hart's best friend character thing, and like he's not going to get over that, and they try to insert like the funniness along with him being sad about it, and it just doesn't work. And I don't know if it was supposed to be a surprise to us, but we saw the beginning, and I felt like that pretty early easily established that she was a good character. Whatever. And then at the very end, it doesn't explain why these guys finding the vault would lead to peace and happiness and fireworks. Like, they didn't bring anything back from the vault. There's, to my eyes, no evidence that they were even at the vault. So why would this whole planet, whose whole thing is finding the vault, just believe them, and then, since they found it, have peaceful happiness and fireworks? Doesn't make any sense. So, and then what I will say is, like, the two things that I did think were good about this movie was when they were wearing the hollow masks, the lighting for it and everything else, like, it was so realistic that I wonder if that technology is actually available, because some of the times when you have like a CGI thing, especially around like somebody, it doesn't quite match their head movements, like the thing would stay still while their heads are like doing a little bit of the talking thing. But no, these things were precisely on them. Like it was superb. And then, again, spoiler, when Cate Blanchett's character gets her awesome like power wings and whatnot, every shot that had her in it and those power wings, Cate Blanchett nailed the acting for it and the power and making it look real, and all the CGI around it also looked excellent. So every scene or every shot with the wings in it was just absolutely excellent, which made it all the more jarring about that like terribly CGI car chase scene. So there's like two good things in this movie, but the rest of it, it felt like they were making two different movies, or maybe too many reshoots, and they couldn't decide what type of movie they wanted to make, so they had to redo it, or they had to cut too much out so that things just don't make sense in this movie. Characters' actions and motivations don't make any sense. Technology is not explained well enough, and it's so different that, like, with Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets, like, the dimensional things and how that whole dimensional in the desert thing worked, like, they spent a good chunk of time and like, I'm going to call them extras, explaining that technology and how it works so that you could understand it and it would make sense. But they don't explain basically any of the shit that doesn't make sense here, technology, or I would assume it would have to be technology-wise. They don't explain enough of that. So a bunch of it doesn't make any sense. One last thing. Hey, if something smells shitty outside, do you leave your windows down or do you roll them up? Just saying, if something smells shitty outside, you're going to roll your window up, not leave it open so that the piss monster can piss on you, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You'd roll the window up, turn the recirc on, and let it and have fresher air much quicker. So it doesn't make any sense for her to leave the window down. It's things like that where it's like, okay, was that just inserted because haha, it's funnier this way? Yeah. So 2 thumbs way down for this movie. Skip it. Thanks for watching. Bye.